The video game industry has grown exponentially over the recent decades as technology and accessibility has improved. The era of video games started at the arcade with simple 8-bit style quick games, but has expanded to a variety of different cultures and genres, such as RPGs, puzzle games, simulators, shooters, and much more. Video game soundtracks are an integral part of the gaming experience, but they're often overlooked. These soundtracks work to further differentiate each video game, and their characteristic digitized or sampled sound has roots all the way back in these arcade games and the computer chip music that accompanied them. So, what exactly is the purpose of a soundtrack for video games? In Isabel van Elfrind's article, Un Forasto, Issues of Virtuality and Digestus in Video Games, Music, she frames the purpose as similar to movie soundtracks. They work to immerse the player or watcher more deeply into the game. Visually, screens are limited in the wide perspective of our visions. However, music can bleed from the game directly into our audio field of our real world, bringing the player into the video game's world. Karis Elizabeth Eckersley points out another important function of these soundtracks in her article, Portrayal of Gender and Identity in the Soundtrack of Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. In this game, Witcher 3, she explores how music contributes to the characterization by using typically feminine or typically masculine musical traits as signals to the players. Combined, these articles imply that video game music can subtly contribute to our perception of the wider world and stereotypes in general. Much like the video game industry as a whole, the video game music industry is not only heavily male-dominated, but also predominantly Japanese. It carries heavy roots in modern Japanese culture, as the impact on Japan of the rise of early video games continues today. For example, if you look up those types of lists that are like top 20 video game composers, top 50 video game composers, the majority will be Japanese men. Therefore, video game music subtly reflects the worldview of Japanese men, impacting the gaming experience in nuanced ways. So in this project, we would like to discuss the history, impact, and treatment of female video game composers.
Some of the huge pioneers in video game composition were actually women, but many people don't realize this. Monumental soundtracks, such as those from Kingdom Hearts, and the original Mega Man, are composed by Yoko Shinomura and Manami Matsume. These soundtracks played a huge part in the uniqueness of these games, making them into the well-known titles they are today. So why are these composers practically unknown in the video game music industry? During the late 20th century, the rise of the industry was fueled by Japanese companies like Nintendo, Sega, and later Sony. Japan is historically known for its traditional values and rigid gender roles, especially within a professional environment, and women face a variety of systemic barriers and limited opportunities within the video game music industry. A result of this exclusion is a drastic underrepresentation of female composers, who face challenges such as lack of recognition and credit. One clear example of this phenomenon is Evelyn Novakovic, who was a co-composer for the Donkey Kong Country game series. Novakovic worked hard to create an iconic sound for the games, alongside her co-composer David Wise. But because Wise had a greater name recognition, he is often associated with composing the soundtrack as a whole, and Novakovic's contributions are completely overlooked. Another example demonstrating a lack of credit is Kinuyo Yamashita and Sato Terashima, two female composers for Castlevania. In the credits, both were put under one alias, James Banana, combining their distinct identities and contributions under the name of one man. The issue of underrepresentation becomes even more complicated after considering that for Western countries, Japanese names may not clearly signal gender. Because of this, listeners and players without prior knowledge of the composers may assume they are male, which reinforces the lack of recognition and invisibility of female composers within the industry. Along with drastic underrepresentation, an additional challenge that women in the Japanese video game music industry face is the wage gap. There is a 24% difference between male and female composers' wages, which is quite large compared to the approximately 15% United States national average wage gap. It is the equivalent of 2.1 years of experience, meaning that even if a female and a male composer have the same qualifications, 2.1 years are erased from the female composer's wage simply on the account of gender. This wage gap reflects the more traditional values within the professional environments of Japan and is yet another obstacle for female composers. It also may be a factor that discourages potential female video game composers from entering the field. They are more likely to avoid a field that is less welcoming to them. Thus, the wage gap and underrepresentation is maintained in the industry.
Beyond statistics, another example of challenges female composers must face was highlighted by Jessica Curry, a video game composer who is also a former co-head of the British video game development studio The Chinese Room. When interviewed, Jessica describes how, quote, "Often being the only woman in a room is tiring. You're always representing something, and that comes with a responsibility, whereas men just get to create good work. That in itself is already pushing them forwards." End quote. For male composers, their success is based on the quality of their work, but for a woman, their success is based on their identity and the quality of their work. Often, female composers are viewed as women first, and then composers, and their identity is tokenized. Overall, it is clear that women have played an irreplaceable role in the industry despite these barriers. Their contributions have helped define the sound and identity of countless games, even if their work isn't fully recognized. The trends for these patterns of discrimination are slowly but surely dissipating, as they are in the sphere of video games as a whole. There is more work to be done, particularly in ensuring equal representation and pay, but we are already on the path of progress.
Let's go!
Thank you.